Have you ever found yourself saying, it's just common sense? Well, this is a common statement that I hear from business leaders when they're trying to work out why someone did something unsafe that resulted in an incident. Their reasoning for that incident can quite easily default to, that's just a lack of common sense. I've worked with business leaders like you for over 10 years. I know it can be frustrating to figure out why people do what they do. And I'm willing to bet that you can get pretty frustrated trying to work out why health and safety incidents occur, despite having all the right things in place. Well, today we're going to walk through 3 questions that you can ask yourself to get a better understanding of how you may have influenced unsafe behavior, even though you're removed from day-to-day operations. Stick around to the end because I'm going to give you something that you can do right now to have a positive influence on the safety in your organization and to be a more effective leader. Welcome back. I'm Samantha McGolrick, and you are watching the No WTA Show, where I help board members and executives like yourself know what to ask and when to act, so that you can lead with your heart and put people first by leading safe and healthy work. So make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out. I remember in a board meeting I attended where one of the directors was reflecting on the New Zealand Pike River mine tragedy in 2010 that killed 20 miners. They were questioning, why did the workers enter a mine day after day when they knew it was unsafe? I mean, isn't that just common sense? This is a question that I know many of you think about when you're reviewing incident investigations or your health and safety performance reports. Write common sense in the comments below right now if you have ever said or heard your colleagues say, that's just common sense. Well, unfortunately, my friends, the old adage, common sense is not that common, is very true. Your version of common sense is not necessarily what I would perceive as common sense. In fact, common sense is just your manifestation of your own perception. Which makes me think about the movie The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves learns that reality is merely an experience of our mind. But without going too down a rabbit warren of The Matrix, the point is, your thoughts and words can appear to be your version of reality, or what you consider common sense. But we need to remove that statement from your vocabulary altogether. Get rid of it, throw it out, it doesn't exist. And this is where we begin. Now, if you haven't found yourself saying, that's just common sense, you may have asked yourself something like this. Why do smart people do unsafe things? Why don't people do what they've been told? Why are the same mistakes happening over and over again? While these are all valid questions and common questions, what you need to remember is that incidents are rarely the result of a single action, failure, or factor. You've probably all heard of the Swiss cheese model that describes a number of factors involved in incident causation. But really understanding what that model means will help you in your leadership role. So let's take a look. In the workplace, people are influenced by this interwoven relationship between a few different factors, such as the job or task itself, in particular the demands posed by that task. People are influenced by their own behavior, which is influenced by their competence, experience, attitude, personality. And people are influenced by the company-related factors, such as the resources they're given, the leadership, the culture that defines the way we do the things around here. And this is primarily where you come in. Once you acknowledge that through the inherent power and influence that you have in the workplace, just by the way of your job title, you are more open to appreciating how you influence those factors by what you give your attention to. In other words, how you demonstrate to others that something is a priority to you. So here are 3 questions that you can ask yourself when making decisions or when you're reviewing an incident investigation report or your health and safety performance reports. Question 1, what do I take notice of or comment on that could demonstrate that something is a priority to me or the board and could contribute to behaviors in the workplace, including the behavior of the management team? So let me give you an example. In a previous video, I walked you through some examples of good safety leadership by looking at how former CEO of Alcoa, Paul O'Neill, transformed the business by focusing on the health and safety of his workforce. But what I don't mention in that case study is that a month after he started his role, an 18-year-old employee who had only been with the company for about 3 weeks died at work because he jumped over a protective barrier to pull out a piece of material that had jammed in one of the machines. When the object was removed, it released a boom that swung around for the machine to operate, which hit the worker and killed him instantly. O'Neill said 2 supervisors had been there about 15 to 20 years, watched him do it. I mean, maybe they even taught him how to do it. So if you looked at how leaders at Alcoa may have influenced why this new employee jumped over the barrier, we might ask ourselves, did our leaders who were on site ever call out this as unacceptable behavior for fixing jams in the machine? Did I, as a senior leader, ever look to fix the machine from getting jammed in the first place? Or think about another way to remove the jam material that wouldn't require someone from getting too close to the boom? If not, then maybe my lack of action has created a culture where this was acceptable behavior. Question 2, what are we currently measuring or rewarding that may have or is contributing to behaviors in the workplace, including the behavior of the management team? This example, I think we all can relate to. Have you ever felt fatigued at work? I'm thinking many of you are giving me a nod right now. In fact, write fatigue in the comments below if you've ever worked while fatigued. Ask yourself this, why did you continue to work when it could have been dangerous to do so? I mean, fatigue is a serious contributor to workplace incidents and fatalities. Maybe you thought that an incident is so unlikely that it could never happen to you. Or maybe you work in an office environment and you think, a little fatigue won't hurt me. But then you drive home at the end of the day and get in a car accident. Or maybe you don't think you're as fatigued as you really are. Or maybe there are targets that you need to meet, whether they're realistic or not, they make up your bonus. And your bonus is what keeps you at the company. Or maybe the task or job demands long hours and you think, this is what I signed up for. As a leader, ask yourself, have I ever recognized that people are fatigued? Am I rewarding people for working long hours, which ultimately promotes that I'm happy for people to get the job done, even if it's at the expense of their physical and mental health? Remember, the key here is for you to think about how you influence behavior through what you give your attention to in some way or another. Question 3, what do I systematically deal with or perhaps actively prioritize that may contribute to behaviors in the workplace, including the behaviors of the management team? Now, I can't answer exactly why the miners entered Pike River Mine day after day, but based on the 3 questions that we've gone through, that you're going to ask yourself when reviewing an incident or making decisions, I think you'll find that if you apply those to Pike River, you'll see the board and executive team had a significant influence on the culture at the mine, and that absolutely would have played a role as to why those miners entered the mine day after day. In fact, the Royal Commission found that the board's focus on meeting production targets set the tone for executive managers and their subordinates, which resulted in ineffective risk management and poorly designed incentive schemes. For example, because the mine was behind in production and investors in the board were getting frustrated, executive management pressed ahead when health and safety systems and risk assessment processes were inadequate. Machines for monitoring air quality, specifically the levels of carbon monoxide that could cause an explosion, indeed were faulty or unsuitable. And in response to the board facing credibility problems because of overpromising and under-delivering and increasing delays on production, they authorized a bonus scheme that called for increased production when there were known problems with equipment, ventilation, staff experience, and a lack of effective monitoring systems in the mine. So now that you have a better understanding of some of the ways that you influence behavior in the workplace, even though you're many layers removed from day-to-day activities, use these 3 questions as a bit of an inner compass, and I have no doubt you'll see how much more informed you are when making decisions that could impact on health and safety outcomes. Pike River Mine is not a unique tragedy. The factors that contributed to that incident fall under very common themes of incident causation. We're talking about culture, governance, systems, risk management, resources. It ticks all the boxes that leaders should be looking at. And unfortunately, the themes are very similar to many other tragedies. What is also not unique is the comfort that the board and executive team had around managing risk. They just didn't see it coming. So ask not why people do what they do in isolation. Ask yourself, what influence have I or we as a board or management team had on that behavior or task? So here's one thing that you can do right now as a leader to have a positive influence on safe behavior in your workplace. Ask yourself, what am I or we as a board or senior management team prioritizing? Write it down right now. And do we demonstrate this priority through our actions, behaviors, our monitoring mechanisms, or our incentive schemes? If the answer is yes, do you think that this priority is impacting on the way people conduct their work? And if yes, could it have any negative impact on how those in the business make decisions that impact on health and safety outcomes? If yes, put this on the agenda for discussion at your next executive or board meeting, and you are one step closer to leading safe and healthy work effectively. One of the foundational principles of leading safe and healthy work is sharing knowledge across business, industry, and borders. In this way, we can share with each other what works, what hasn't worked, and not to be ashamed or embarrassed. We're talking about people's lives, and that's pretty important. So in the context of sharing, let this community know in the comments below if you have changed something in your business after realizing it would have a negative impact on your people. Or maybe you discussed it at a management team or board level, but never introduced it because of its potential negative impact. As always, I hope this has helped you in your quest to know what to ask and when to act. And if you like this video, do let me know by clicking the thumbs up icon below. But more importantly, if you think that others would find similar value from this content, share away. If you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video every Wednesday. If you want more great insights into what to ask and when to act, plus personal insights that I just cannot put into video, come on over to SamanthaMcGolrick.com. Sign up to get my email updates, and I would love to have you on board. Be brave and stay true to your commitment to lead from your heart by putting people first, and I am confident you will reap the rewards. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.